We have Mr. Alexander Cuffy, a Liberian who resided in Minnesota a couple of years ago and recently traveled back to Liberia to take up uh, employment with the GMAP program. And we have him here today, and he's going to be discussing his work and the impact and other issues regarding his return to Liberia. Welcome, Mr. Coffey.
Thank you, Mr. Peabody.
Would you care to discuss your work? A lot of Liberians know that you travel back to Liberia to work, and they would like to know, what impact your work is having, on the country. We know that you work with GMAP and its accountability. A lot of Liberians are concerned about corruption and other government ways. Would you care to comment?
Yeah, thank you for that question. It seems to be very loaded. First of all, I reside in the U.S. and in Minnesota. I still have my wife and family here, but I happen to be among the group of experts that were recruited around the world to go back to Liberia to help in improving governance, if I may say one word, help to improve governance. Regarding my work, yes, I feel good in the first place that I was selected among various people in the world and to go back home, and I felt very proud to go back home to help. It's something that I always wanted to do. It was a hard decision to make to go back home, but with a wife and kids, it was a hard decision. But as my wife said, hey, this is something that you've wanted to do always to help your country. Everywhere we were in West Africa and other places, you always play some role with your own people. So yes, take the challenge and go and help. We will be here to take care. The impact of the work so far, it can be described in different ways. First of all, the GMAP project is into different formats. You have, say, the Ministry of Finance, where you have experts there taking care of the cash management, helping with the revenue situation and the expenditure situation. There are some people also at the Bureau of Budget. They're helping with the budgeting process. Quite recently, they also did some capacity building program in internal audit, improving internal audit professionals in Liberia. You also have people at the Ministry of Lands and Mines looking at the mining the process and the concession and things like that. And then you have the Auditor General is being supported by the EU through the GMAP project as well. And then the other group is provide controllership with high income generating agencies such as the National Port Authority, the LPRC, the RIA, which is the International Airport, and the FDA, the Forest Trade Development Authority. So far, in my own view, I think the GMAT have some significant benefit. To speak specifically about my job, I am assigned at the Rabat International Airport, the only international airport in Liberia, and I work with the management as well as the board. And so far we have one of the first objectives is to improve financial management. We have improved financial management in that if you look at revenue, we have helped to improve upon the revenue. One of the big things that was lacking is policies and procedure. As you may think is a small thing, but documenting policies and documenting procedure on the way people do things. So as a result of all those things, we have improved the revenue situation. When I got at the airport working with the management initially, we had an overdraft situation. That is, we didn't have money in the bank. So that is, we were borrowing from the bank. But when we got there, by the time we put in all those processes, no new airlines, because the revenue is generated at the airport from the airlines and the rental activities. But as a result of all those procedures and making sure that we close some of the loopholes, loopholes meaning, for example, you have people receiving cash and they're keeping it for days. And cash is tempting. Once you keep it for days, 3 days, 7 days, there's a tendency that something can happen. People were transacting business in cash. People were raising vouchers in cash, and things like that. All those things were, we put up policies and procedure that will control all these things, and as a result, the money were going straight into RIA's bank account. As a result, the revenue was going up and the cash flow was going up. On the expenditure side too, one of the things you would think about, things like petty cash. All right, there was no policy, there was no limit on how cash was spent, but we made sure that we put in policy in conjunction with the management. Of course, it was not all about GMAP, it was as well as the management and the board, because when you make policies and procedure, it has to be approved by management, and it has to be approved by and endorsed by the board. And the way I work at the airport is to work with the people. I don't just sit back and write rules and give it to them, and these are the rules. No, it's a partnership thing. All right, we allow the managers, who have been very phenomenal, we allow the managers to come up with their own way to see it, and we add our own expertise upon it, and we work together and everybody accepts it. Because if you're doing a piece of job and people don't have ownership in it, it's going to be tough. So we managed to control the expenditure as well, and as a result, the cash flow has gone up from negative up. I mean, now we don't have all the money, but at least now we have some good cash to work with.
Is there a particular number of considering what you started with to where you are now? Can you tell us, for example, like what does the RIA, get like a month or every quarter? Is there a number to assign to your progress with regards to monetary value?
Well, monetary value, if you talk about, net income doesn't necessarily translate to cash. It's cash flow. But for example, we had over $500,000 in losses in our net income in 2005. But progressively in 2006, we turned that over 300,000 in profit. In 2007, we turned that over 900,000 in profit. All right. So from a negative net income of 500, if I may be straight, remember the number is of over $548,000 in net losses at the end of 2005. And we've managed to move that to over 900,000 in net profit in 2007. In terms of cash flow, the real thing, we've managed to move from a negative cash balance, from an overdraft position, up to today we're doing pretty close to $1 million in the bank. All right, and all that is coming at the background. There are not many airlines that have come in that stay in one international airline, and there are not additional international airlines have come in because the income is generated from the airlines.
Would you say that the other components of the program, you are at the RIA, there are others who were employed or work in different areas? What would you say would be the progress in achieving like what you've achieved at, or your work has achieved at the RIA?
Well, before I answer that question, one other thing I can count on also is human capacity development, and also institutional capacity development. One thing we've been successful in working with the management and the board is to revamp the organization itself, redesign the organization structure, and then work on the staffing level and things like that. And also we are deeply into capacity building with the management. People are going for training abroad. There's local training. We've also quite recently instituted a computerized accounting system, which eventually is an integrated thing that will be used throughout the company. And then also infrastructure. We're also developing the airport. We've written a lot of projects supported by the international community. Funds were provided by the international community. Funds were provided by the government. We currently, if you go to the airport, you see a new passenger terminal. A renovated passenger terminal. The right now the arrival hall is new, is refurbished. Currently, the departure hall is being worked on. So it's not just financial management; it's infrastructure and human capacity building.
Okay.
If you look at other organizations, I probably may not be the right guy to speak for other organizations. They could speak for themselves, but generally, I think there is that cohesiveness, there is that improvement at the FDA, for instance, the Forestry Development Authority. There is I have seen the policy and procedure document, and I have seen the cohesiveness between the expert there and the managing director and the management, and that area is also improving. Looking at the LPRC, also there is that cohesiveness between the management and GMAP, and also they're improving, especially in the area of procurement, which has been a difficult thing to deal with. Procurement is a hard thing. Yes, we have the procurement commission, but yet there is implementation, and we also, as GMAT expert, we also get involved in ensuring that is implemented properly. The NPA, yeah, the NPA is doing fine. We've had one or two problems, but of late it's been improving. Cohesiveness between management and GMAT expert has been improving lately. So and for the long haul, I think I see some things going on there, and also GMAP has also helped quite recently. Their cash flow also is going up.
Okay. One thing too, a lot of people will be thinking, considering your trip back home and like the work you've been doing, what are your plans? I'm sure this is a contractual opportunity, but what are your plans after this contract is done?
That's a good question. I wish I had the answer. But what I would tell you, I'm a Liberian.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say in my introduction, I've always been involved in Liberian activities. I was in West Africa working with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and I traveled to Sierra Leone. I was based in Ghana, traveled to Sierra Leone, Nigeria, and back to Liberia and other countries. And I had always been involved in Liberian activities. I have always wanted to help my country. All right. Then my family and myself immigrated to the U.S. And even in the U.S., I have been involved in the Liberian activities. And I always love to help out. So for me, the sky is the limit. My options are wide open.
Okay. Well, do you have any last words, Mr. Cuffy, here in our studios?
Word, last word, it may not be a word, it could be
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah, statement.
What I would like to say, Liberia is a new country, almost like it's been through war and is now developing, and that development depends on all Liberians. But from my experience, even before the war, as a little boy growing up and going to school, and then coming from Liberia and interacting with people in various Liberian communities, and going back home and trying to help put things back together. What I see is we as a people, we need to work on our mindset. Liberia is our country. No matter what it is, it depends on us to develop our country. We should, Liberians, we should change our mindset in looking at things positively, because we always have to know that yes, that country depends on us, all right, and not us depending on the country. The development of Liberia depends on Liberians, and Liberians must make, and then Liberians everywhere, even Liberians in the diaspora. One of the things is we should get ourselves ready to go back home in our various capacities. It can be anything, anyway, okay? So, again, if it's one word or it's one statement, I think we should begin the process of changing our mindset and working for our country, and instead of looking up our country to work for us.
Well, thank you, Mr. Cuffy. This has been a Bush Chicken production at Vicky's Place in Brooklyn Park. Thank you.